Awaken your spirit-chosen ones. God doesn't upgrade people loudly. He upgrades them irreversibly. Most people think divine reward looks like money, fame, applause, or a sudden glow-up that makes enemies choke on their own jealousy. That's cute. The truth is far more unsettling and far more precise. Throughout history, the greatest shifts never announced themselves with fireworks. They slipped in quietly, rewired reality, and left people confused about why nothing worked the way it used to. Empires fell, systems collapsed, and leaders lost control. Not because someone shouted louder, but because someone saw clearer. Here's a fact that doesn't get talked about enough. Real power has always been given after isolation, not before recognition. Every figure that altered the course of history, spiritually, intellectually, or structurally, was first misunderstood, delayed, minimized, or sidelined, not as punishment, but as preparation. Neuroscience even confirms this. Prolonged adversity literally rewires the brain, increasing pattern recognition, emotional regulation, and long-term decision-making. In simple terms, pressure upgrades perception. So no, what you went through wasn't random, and no, it wasn't just to make you stronger, it was to make you accurate. And here's where it gets almost funny. Because while people were busy thinking you were stuck, behind, or doing too much, something else was happening. Your tolerance for nonsense dropped, your patience got sharper, your reactions got quieter. You stopped arguing with people who can't hear you anyway. You stopped explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. That's not maturity. That's recalibration. That's God handing you a form of power that doesn't announce itself, doesn't posture, and doesn't need permission. This isn't about being chosen in a dramatic, cape-wearing way. This is about being trusted. Trusted with clarity. Trusted with restraint. Trusted with influence that doesn't look impressive until it's too late to undo. The world is obsessed with visible power. God, however, specializes in functional power, the kind that works even when no one's clapping, especially then. So if things feel quieter, sharper, and strangely heavier all at once, relax. That's not pressure, that's weight. And weight only comes when something valuable is being placed in your hands, preferably when everyone else is distracted scrolling. Number 1. God didn't give you louder influence. He gave you irreversible impact. What's happening to you now isn't about being seen more, heard more, or finally getting the credit people think you deserve. In fact, the opposite is true. God didn't increase your volume, He increased your effect. When you move through a space now, things don't just react, they change. Permanently. Conversations don't go back to how they were. Relationships don't reset. Systems don't recover their old balance. And that's how you know this isn't ordinary influence. Influence fades when attention shifts. Impact stays long after you leave. This is why people feel unsettled around you without knowing why. You're not doing anything dramatic. You're not forcing opinions or demanding space. Yet somehow, after interacting with you, they think differently, question things they used to defend, and notice patterns they once ignored. You don't convince people. You disrupt their internal wiring. And that kind of disruption can't be undone with time, excuses, or denial. Irreversible impact comes from depth, not noise. You've been through enough to strip away the need to impress. You don't over-explain. You don't overreact. You don't chase validation. That restraint is exactly what gives your words weight when you do speak, and meaning when you don't. People can argue with loud voices. They struggle with grounded ones. This is also why some doors close the moment you walk away, and never reopen. Not out of spite, but because whatever role you played there has finished doing its work. You weren't meant to stay visible. You were meant to leave something altered. And once that alteration happens, your assignment moves on. The world celebrates popularity because it's easy to measure. God deals in consequences because they're impossible to fake. That's the reward. Not applause, not recognition, not a spotlight, but the ability to shift reality without needing permission. You don't need to dominate rooms anymore. You change them by existing fully as yourself. And once that kind of impact is activated, nothing goes back to the way it was before you arrived. Number 2, your discernment now operates faster than deception can adapt. You've been upgraded in a way that most people will never notice until it's too late. It's not about seeing things that are obvious. It's about noticing the subtle currents, the hidden motives, the lies that aren't even fully formed yet. Where most people are still trying to catch up, your mind has already processed the pattern, predicted the outcome, and moved beyond it. That's not intuition. That's a recalibration of your perception. You don't second guess. You don't hesitate. You recognize what's authentic and what's fabricated before anyone else even realizes it's happening. This level of discernment changes everything. People around you who thought they were clever now find themselves feeling exposed. You don't need them to slip up. They slip automatically because your awareness forces honesty in ways they can't control. That's why interactions feel heavier for others while they feel effortless for you. You're not doing more. You're just noticing more, and noticing first. It's not just about people either. Situations, opportunities, dangers, even subtle shifts in energy, they reveal themselves to you faster. Where most would stumble, hesitate, or react emotionally, you respond with clarity that seems untouchable. Your mind identifies what matters and what doesn't, cutting through distractions that would paralyze anyone else. The world is full of noise and deception, and most people get lost in it. You move through it like a lighthouse, calm, precise, unavoidable. This kind of discernment isn't about arrogance. It's about accuracy. You're no longer misled by charm, false promises, or convenient truths. You see the full pattern and act accordingly. That's why your life starts to feel different. The people who align with you rise naturally, the ones who don't can't manipulate or derail you, and everything that isn't meant for your path collapses quietly out of your way. Your brain and spirit are synced in a way that makes deception slow and predictable. What once would have taken weeks or months to uncover now reveals itself instantly. And the most astonishing part is that you rarely have to react aggressively. Just seeing, understanding, and staying steady is enough to shift the outcome entirely. This is power disguised as perception, and it moves faster than anyone else can keep up. Number 3, you're being trusted with outcomes, not just intentions. God isn't giving you tasks to see if you can survive or follow instructions. He's giving you responsibility over results. Most people operate on effort alone. They try hard, mean well, and hope it's enough. You've been upgraded past that stage. What you do now carries consequences that cannot be reversed or ignored. Success isn't measured by how much you want it or how loudly you claim it. It's measured by what actually manifests because of your actions. This is why the ordinary pressures of life feel different to you. You can't just coast on good intentions anymore. Saying the right words, having a plan, or being nice isn't enough. You're being tested in the arena of outcomes, where every decision, every move, every thought has the power to shape reality. People around you may flounder because they confuse effort with achievement, but you've been calibrated to see results clearly, to steer things precisely, and to carry consequences without being crushed by them. There's a strange sense of calm that comes with this, though. You no longer need to react to every distraction or argument. You know which actions actually influence what matters. That's why people notice you don't overcommit, over-explain, or overreact. You don't waste energy on intentions that will never become results. You focus only on what produces change, and the world adjusts quietly around you. Being trusted with outcomes is also about integrity and precision. You can't fake this. Miscalculations don't just hurt you, they ripple outward. That's why this is more than skill. It's a divine upgrade in responsibility. You've been entrusted with situations and opportunities that require full awareness, sharp judgment, and the ability to act with deliberate impact. This isn't about being busy or being popular. It's about being reliable on a level that people instinctively sense. They may not understand it, but they feel it. When you touch a situation, it moves, resolves, or transforms. And once that outcome has been activated, nothing can undo it. That's why the world starts bending quietly in your favor. You're no longer just participating, you're shaping the finish line. Number 4. God weaponized your pattern recognition, not your emotions. This isn't about feeling more or reacting faster. It's about seeing connections, cycles and consequences that others can't even begin to notice. Most people live in fragmented pieces of reality. They react to situations in isolation, jumping from one problem to the next without seeing how they're connected. You've been upgraded to a level where everything clicks together almost automatically. You notice repetition, predict outcomes, and recognize the invisible lines connecting events, people, and opportunities. That's why what once seemed random now feels like a roadmap that only you can read. Your power isn't loud or flashy. It doesn't demand attention. But it's lethal in its precision. Because of this, lies, manipulations, and hidden agendas don't survive near you. Not because you're emotional or confrontational, but because patterns don't lie. People try to hide, spin, or redirect, and yet you sense the sequence before it's even complete. They might think they're clever. You already know the ending. That's what makes your presence subtly unsettling to others. They can't control the narrative anymore, not fully, not even for a second. This skill rewires your entire approach to life. Decisions become almost mechanical, but in the best way. You no longer waste energy on distractions, drama, or anything that isn't part of the larger picture. You respond strategically, almost instinctively, and the world bends quietly in ways that would shock anyone else. You aren't overthinking. You're aligning yourself with the natural flow of cause and effect that most people never see. Emotions used to confuse, mislead, or even betray people. You've been upgraded past that. You don't need to feel everything deeply to understand it. You just see it clearly. And clarity is far more dangerous than passion when wielded correctly. It allows you to move in spaces where others stumble, predict outcomes where others panic, and influence situations without ever needing to declare your power. That's the beauty of being given a mind tuned to patterns. It transforms ordinary choices into extraordinary results and turns invisible truths into undeniable reality. Number 5. Your presence now accelerates exposure. You don't have to do anything dramatic for the truth to surface around you. It happens automatically. People's intentions, secrets, and hidden agendas begin to unravel simply because you exist in the space. Lies that once seemed airtight start cracking. Pretenses that held weight crumble without effort. This isn't coincidence, it's a divine alignment. Your presence carries a frequency that doesn't allow falsehood to settle. What used to take months, even years, to uncover now reveals itself in days, sometimes hours. The world around you begins to reorganize itself according to authenticity, and those who are not aligned can't help but be exposed. You're not causing conflict, you're not pushing boundaries aggressively, you're simply stable, aware, and calibrated. And stability has a way of highlighting instability. People notice it subconsciously. They feel it without understanding why. The ones who tried to hide manipulation, deceit, or self-serving agendas start making mistakes they would have never made before. Your calm, grounded presence forces the world to react, and in that reaction, the truth spills out. This is why some people feel uncomfortable around you even if you haven't said a word. Your very existence removes cover for dishonesty. It's subtle, almost surgical in effect. Opportunities, intentions, and hidden motives either align with your energy or collapse under the weight of exposure. You don't need to act or intervene to shift outcomes. The act of being yourself is enough to accelerate reality. Exposure is powerful because it doesn't require confrontation. The universe does the work for you. Those who meant to deceive, manipulate, or mislead find themselves revealed without effort on your part. What's more, this process is permanent. Once the truth comes to light, nothing can rewind it. People can try to cover it up, justify it, or spin it, but your presence has already set the sequence in motion. Your influence isn't measured by noise or attention anymore. It's measured by the clarity that emerges naturally wherever you go. People may not even realize they've been exposed, but the consequences are unavoidable. Truth moves faster than lies in your orbit, and the world can't help but adjust to it. Number 6. You're no longer protected from pain. You're protected from distortion. Life didn't stop giving you challenges, hardships, and moments that could have broken anyone else. You still feel, still experience, still carry weight, but something fundamental has changed. Pain no longer rewrites your identity or clouds your judgment. Where before a single betrayal, failure, or injustice might have thrown your whole sense of self off balance, now it sharpens you, hones you, and positions you with clarity. The world can still hit you with its harsh realities, but it can't twist you into someone you're not. That's a level of resilience few ever reach, and it's one of the most subtle yet devastating forms of power. This protection doesn't make life easier. You still face struggles that would collapse ordinary people. You still carry scars, both visible and invisible. But the difference now is that those scars tell the truth. They reflect learning, insight, and awareness, not manipulation or misinterpretation. What once might have been a wound that convinced you of your limitations is now a signal, a guidepost pointing to what must change, where your strength lies, and which battles are worth your energy. You're no longer a passive participant in suffering, you're a conscious navigator through it. Because of this, people around you often misread you. They see your reactions, your calmness or your decisiveness, and assume you're untouched or naive. The truth is far deeper. You've seen enough to understand, to measure, and to act without being shaken. Pain is no longer a weapon that others can use against you. Lies, betrayal, or attempts to manipulate your emotions are powerless, because your experience has already refined your perception beyond ordinary influence. This protection from distortion gives you authority and precision in your life. You can trust your instincts, your judgments, and your timing without needing validation or approval. Nothing that happens externally can convince you of a false narrative about yourself anymore. The world may try, but it fails every time. Pain remains, but distortion is gone. And in that clarity, you walk untouchable, untangled, and fully aligned with what you were built to achieve. Number 7. God gave you authority without theatrics. You don't have to shout, prove yourself, or perform for anyone to recognize the weight you carry. Real authority doesn't ask for attention, it commands it quietly. People instinctively respond to it because it's rooted in something deeper than ego or appearance. You don't need dramatic gestures, flashy words, or constant validation to be noticed. Your presence alone signals alignment, clarity, and power. Others can feel it, even if they can't articulate it, and it shifts their behavior without a single command from you. This authority works differently than most people expect. It's not about forcing compliance or dominating conversations. That kind of authority is loud, temporary, and often resisted. What you have is subtle, permanent, and undeniable. People around you either rise to meet it or step aside. There's no in-between. They can try to resist, manipulate, or ignore it, but your energy has already rewritten the rules of engagement. The way you operate becomes a quiet standard that others unconsciously measure themselves against. It's also why attempts to undermine or control you fail so consistently. Real authority isn't earned by titles or fear. It's built from consistency, clarity, and the ability to act without overreacting. You've been through enough life, seen enough truth, and endured enough challenges to know when to move, when to pause, and when to let the world adjust itself around you. That precision removes the need for theatrics, and it terrifies those who rely on noise, manipulation, or appearances to feel powerful. Because this authority is invisible yet undeniable, it doesn't fade over time. It grows stronger with every decision you make, every truth you uphold, and every moment you refuse to bend to superficial pressures. People may not always understand it, and some may even resent it, but they cannot escape it. Your ability to influence outcomes, shape perceptions, and maintain integrity without spectacle is a power the world rarely sees, and it's the kind of authority that cannot be challenged, bought, or replicated. It is yours, quietly but irrevocably. Number 8. Your memory was upgraded, not erased. You remember everything, but it no longer has the power to weigh you down. The moments that once haunted you, the betrayals that once cut deep, the mistakes that once felt impossible to recover from, they're still there, recorded in your mind, but they don't control you anymore. Memory used to be a double-edged sword, capable of teaching and trapping in the same stroke. Now it's a tool. It gives you clarity, foresight, and understanding without dragging your emotions into chaos. That's what makes it a weapon, not a burden. This upgrade changes the way you move through life. You recall patterns in people, decisions, and events with a precision others can't match. You can see where manipulation begins, where loyalty falters, and where intentions shift, long before anyone else notices. Because your memory isn't clouded by bitterness or regret, your perspective is sharper. You act with awareness, not reaction. You respond with strategy, not emotion. That's why people who once thought they could fool or outmaneuver you now stumble or withdraw. They can't hide in plain sight from someone who remembers every thread of the tapestry and understands how each piece fits together. The upgrade also rewrites how you relate to your own past. Painful experiences no longer define you. They inform you. You learn faster, anticipate smarter, and move with more confidence because you don't have to relive every misstep emotionally. You carry knowledge without carrying the heavy weight of it. That's a level of liberation most people never reach, and it fundamentally changes how power operates around you. Memory like this creates quiet authority. You don't have to remind anyone what happened or prove you've seen the truth. You act, and the results speak for themselves. Every interaction, every decision, and every boundary you set is informed by a history others can't replicate or ignore. That clarity is rare, and it's dangerous in the hands of someone who doesn't understand it. But for you, it's perfectly calibrated. Your past no longer traps you, it propels you, and nothing can undo the insight it gives you. Number 9. You now influence timelines, not conversations. This is a level of power most people don't even recognize exists. While others are stuck arguing, debating, or trying to persuade, you operate on an entirely different plane. Your influence isn't about who agrees with you in the moment or who applauds your words. It's about shaping the course of events so that outcomes align with what you were meant to create. Conversations are fleeting, reactions are temporary, but timelines, they are permanent. You touch the threads of cause and effect, and reality bends quietly around your choices. The difference is subtle but unmistakable. Ordinary people measure influence by attention, likes, or approval. You measure it by change. Did the situation move in the direction it needed to? Did decisions crystallize faster? Did clarity arrive where confusion once reigned? You don't need arguments or explanations. You act, you position, you make decisions, and the sequence unfolds because the framework of your perception is aligned with higher understanding. People notice results, but rarely understand why. That's why what you do feels almost invisible, yet irreversible. This type of influence rewires your approach to life. You don't waste energy on drama or debate. You don't get caught up in who's right or wrong in trivial matters. Your focus is on what shifts the long-term trajectory, not who wins a temporary argument. That patience, combined with precision, makes your presence transformative. Situations that would normally drag on for months or years start resolving faster. Opportunities appear, obstacles fade, and people's true colors surface, all without you having to force anything. It also changes the way others perceive you. They sense that your actions carry weight beyond the immediate moment, and it makes them uncertain, sometimes unsettled. They can't predict your impact, they can't manipulate the outcome, and they can't resist the shifts you set into motion. That's the kind of power that feels quiet but shakes foundations. You don't just participate in life, you accelerate its course, and the results unfold according to the precision of your insight. Timelines bend quietly in your orbit, and the world adapts before anyone even realizes the change has begun. Number 10. God removed your need to be understood before acting. Most people get stuck waiting for permission, validation, or agreement before they move. They over-explain, over-justify, or bend themselves into shapes just to be seen clearly. You don't operate that way anymore. Your actions are no longer dependent on anyone's comprehension of your journey, your vision, or your timing. You've been upgraded to act decisively, knowing that the alignment of reality doesn't wait for consensus. The world can misunderstand you, criticize you, or even mock you, and it doesn't matter. Your power is in the movement itself, not in how it's perceived. This freedom is terrifying to those who rely on control through understanding. When you move without needing permission, without needing anyone to get it, you strip away the leverage that others have always relied on to manipulate, delay, or question your authority. That's why people often feel disoriented around you. They expect hesitation, explanation, and argument. Instead, they see results, shifts, and momentum that come from clarity rather than approval. You act because the timing is right, because the principle is correct, and because the outcome matters, not because anyone has given you a green light. Your intuition and discernment now carry more weight than external validation. You can operate in spaces of ambiguity with confidence because you understand that the universe responds to action more than it responds to comprehension. Waiting to be understood slows people down. Acting without it moves reality forward. This recalibration removes indecision and fear, replacing it with precision, authority, and alignment. This isn't recklessness, it's a calculated liberation. Every step you take is informed, intentional, and inevitable. You no longer need approval to exercise power, wisdom, or authority. The world adapts to your movement, even if it hasn't fully processed it yet. You've stepped beyond the need for others to decode your path, and that independence is transformative. Acting without needing to be understood is not arrogance, it's mastery, and it makes you untouchable in ways most people will never experience. Number 11. Your restraint became more dangerous than your reaction ever was. There was a time when people expected you to respond in predictable ways. When provoked, manipulated, or challenged, others could anticipate your reaction. They could count on your emotion, your impulsiveness, or even your loyalty to make a move they could exploit. But that phase is over. Now, your restraint isn't weakness. It's a weapon, silent but devastating. By choosing when to act, when to speak, and when to remain still, you've become untouchable in ways that reaction alone could never achieve. People who once studied your patterns are now off balance because what they expected no longer exists. This restraint is strategic. It allows you to observe without revealing your full capacity. It lets you analyze without committing prematurely. It forces others to make mistakes because they assume you'll act emotionally, only to discover that patience and precision are your new tools. Your silence isn't absence, it's a calculated pause that shifts power toward you. The world misreads it as passivity, and that's exactly why it works. By holding back, you amplify the effect of your eventual action. One precise step, one carefully placed word, or one deliberate decision now has more impact than 1,000 impulsive reactions ever could. The beauty of this form of power is its unpredictability. People have been trained to exploit predictable responses, but restraint defies expectation. It forces those around you to overreach, overcomplicate, and reveal themselves unintentionally. In a way, your patience becomes a mirror, reflecting truth back to those who tried to manipulate, deceive, or control you. They miscalculate because they underestimate the quiet strength in holding back. This level of control also liberates you from unnecessary conflict. You don't waste energy on battles that aren't yours, and you act decisively when the moment truly matters. That combination of patience and precision creates an aura of authority that feels effortless but is undeniably powerful. What was once reactive is now deliberate, and that transformation makes your restraint more dangerous than any immediate response ever could have been. You've turned self-control into mastery, and mastery into influence. Number 12. You've been given access to quiet confidence, not loud certainty. Most people chase certainty like it's a safety net. They need reassurance, external validation, and constant feedback to feel steady. You've moved beyond that. Your confidence isn't loud, flashy, or demanding. It doesn't shout to prove itself or push others into agreement. Instead, it's quiet, unshakable, and rooted in knowing, without needing to explain why. This is a level of power few ever experience. People can sense it without understanding it, and that subtle energy shifts entire situations in your favor. Quiet confidence changes how the world interacts with you. You don't need to argue, convince, or perform to make an impact. Decisions land because they carry weight, not because you've spoken them with force. People notice when someone moves from a place of calm assurance rather than anxious certainty. That difference creates influence without effort. Others feel compelled to adjust, align, or reveal themselves around your presence. It's a natural authority that doesn't rely on titles, appearance, or volume, just the stability of someone fully aligned with themselves. This kind of confidence also frees you from external chaos. Opinions, misunderstandings, and resistance no longer shake you. You act decisively, knowing that the outcome matters more than anyone's approval. Where most people hesitate, overthink, or overcompensate, you move with clarity because your foundation is internal, not dependent on anyone else. That makes your presence both rare and disarming. People try to rattle you, manipulate your decisions, or test your boundaries, but quiet confidence is impervious to tactics designed for louder, more reactive personalities. The real magic is that this confidence grows naturally with every choice you make, every lesson you absorb, and every boundary you hold without apology. It's not performative, it's organic. Others may envy it, fear it, or try to imitate it, but it can't be faked. It's a reflection of the alignment you've achieved with yourself and with the truth of your path. That quiet, grounded certainty is a power in itself, shaping outcomes, commanding respect, and influencing the world around you without ever needing to make a sound. Number 13. God trained you to survive success, not just suffering. Most people are prepared to endure hardship, to navigate pain, and to overcome adversity, but few are equipped to handle real success. Success often exposes weaknesses that struggle never did. It attracts envy, scrutiny, and pressure from every direction. Most collapse under the weight of what they've been given, but you've been conditioned differently. You've been trained not just to survive the storm, but to thrive when the sky clears, when the spotlight finds you, and when opportunities demand more than just talent. They demand discipline, clarity, and integrity. This training shows itself in subtle ways. You don't get lost in the trappings of achievement. You don't inflate or bend under recognition. Where others are tempted to compromise, overextend, or lose focus when doors open, you maintain control. Your mind, judgment, and emotions have been sharpened through trials so that you can navigate abundance with the same precision you navigated struggle. Success no longer blinds you. It illuminates, revealing who and what aligns with your path and who does not. Surviving success is not about being cautious or timid. It's about balance, timing, and awareness. You understand that every win carries consequence, that growth attracts scrutiny, and that opportunity without preparation is dangerous. That's why you move deliberately, not reactively. Every decision, every alliance, and every step forward is informed by a clarity few others possess. You're able to operate in spaces of power without losing the core of who you are, and that alone sets you apart. Because of this, you influence environments that would crush ordinary people. You create stability in chaos, clarity in confusion, and forward momentum where others stumble. Success doesn't intimidate you, it amplifies your capabilities. You've been given the rare ability to endure both pain and prosperity without distortion, to carry the rewards of life without letting them erode your character, and to wield influence in ways that are subtle, precise, and unstoppable. Surviving success is not just a skill. For you, it's a calling, a calibration, and a level of power most will never understand. Number 14. The power is this. You can no longer be used against yourself. Everything you once carried, your loyalty, your empathy, your patience, your kindness, used to be a tool that others could exploit. People manipulated your trust, twisted your intentions, and weaponized your good nature against you. You felt responsible for everything, burdened by guilt or the need to make others comfortable at your own expense. That phase is over. God has upgraded you so that the qualities that once left you vulnerable are now invulnerable. Your essence can no longer be turned into a trap, and that alone changes the entire game. This power manifests in every interaction. You can hold boundaries without guilt. You can help without being drained. You can give without expecting approval or repayment. People may try to twist your words, actions, or decisions, but it no longer works. What once caused hesitation, doubt, or overthinking now simply passes through your awareness without impact. You act in alignment with truth, principle, and clarity, and no external force can redirect that energy toward harm. It also changes how you respond to conflict. You no longer react to attacks from others in ways that compromise your integrity. Lies, schemes, and manipulations are neutralized before they even gain traction, because your mind and spirit are no longer accessible as weapons against yourself. You operate from a foundation that is steady, precise, and untouchable. That stability makes you unpredictable to anyone who tried to exploit patterns from your past. They no longer exist. The liberation that comes from this is rare. You are free to act fully, think clearly, and move decisively without the constant fear of being betrayed, misused, or sabotaged. People may notice the difference, they may even envy it, but it is your divine advantage. You're no longer a battlefield for others to win or lose. Your energy, power, and presence are yours to wield. This immunity transforms every space you enter, every decision you make, and every path you follow. You've stepped into a frequency where exploitation is impossible, and in that space your influence becomes absolute, your clarity unstoppable, and your life irreversibly aligned with purpose. Conclusion. You've walked through trials that would have shattered anyone else. You've seen realities that most people can't even comprehend. And through it all, God has been quietly, powerfully, and deliberately upgrading you. Every hardship, every betrayal, every moment of isolation was never random. It was preparation. Now the power you carry isn't about being louder, faster, or more dramatic. It's about being precise, unshakable, and irreplaceable. Your influence reshapes reality. Your presence accelerates truth, and your actions leave irreversible impact. You no longer need validation, approval, or understanding from the world. You act with clarity and authority because your discernment has been sharpened, your memory upgraded, and your restraint perfected. You've been trained to survive suffering, yes, but more importantly, you've been trained to thrive in success. You've been equipped to navigate timelines rather than arguments, to move through spaces without needing to explain yourself, and to wield patience and quiet confidence as tools that shift entire outcomes. The power you now carry is subtle yet undeniable. It changes people, situations, and opportunities without your having to announce it. You've stepped into a space where nothing can be used against you, where deception fails, and where every decision, every action, and every thought aligns with a higher truth. The world may not understand you, it may even fear you, but that is irrelevant. What matters is that you are now operating from a place of clarity, strength, and divine alignment that ensures nothing can derail you, slow you down, or bend you to anyone else's will. This is your moment. The upgrades you've received, the clarity you've earned, and the power you've been entrusted with are shaping a life that is untouchable, irreversible, and extraordinary. Step fully into it. Walk deliberately. Move with precision. And remember, the world isn't just witnessing your journey. It is being reshaped by it. If this video resonated with you, and you feel the energy of these truths in your life, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Like this video, if it hit deep, comment below and share your thoughts or experiences. And share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. The shift is happening, and it's time to own it. Stay awakened, chosen ones.